We are duped into blaming our problems on everyone except our rulers. Muslims are not a threat to you. Russia is not a threat to you. China is not a threat to you. Trans people are not a threat to you. Immigrants are not a threat to you. If you find yourself resisting anything I just said, that's where they hooked you. That's where your rulers duped you into blaming your problems on something other than them. You will notice that I am not saying there are no enemies and nobody poses a threat to us. There absolutely are, and they absolutely do. It's just that people are tricked and manipulated away from seeing the real enemies and the real threats where they are. What poses a threat to you is the political status quo which robs your country of riches and resources to inflict military violence on innocent people overseas while strangling your civil rights and poisoning your planet. What poses a threat to you are the oligarchs and empire managers who uphold this status quo which is driving our species to authoritarian dystopia and extinction via environmental disaster or nuclear annihilation. They want you blaming your problems on anyone else besides the actual source of your problems. They prefer to get you freaking out about their primary targets, the disobedient groups and nations they want to destroy to advance the interests of the empire. But if they can't accomplish that, then they are happy to get you hating powerless groups who pose no real threat to you. Anything they can do to keep your eyes off your real oppressors, the billionaires, bankers, media barons, intelligence agencies, warmongers, ecocidal capitalists, military-industrial complex plutocrats, and all the empire lackeys in your official elected government. They want us fighting each other, but we only pose a threat to each other if we buy into their bogus narratives of hostility and division. An immigrant is only threatened by a right-winger because the right-winger has been successfully duped into blaming his problems on the immigrant, and therefore elects empire lackeys who will make the immigrant's life more difficult. But without that artificially manufactured enmity, it's just two people being abused by the same pricks at the top. Whenever I say stuff like this, I'll get people voicing objections like, No, Caitlin, you don't understand. We really truly are seriously, dangerously threatened by the trans agenda or whatever. But you're not. That's just you doing the thing I'm describing here. You're just buying into the exact scam I'm talking about. You're allowing your crosshairs to be moved from your oppressors to some irrelevant diversion in order to protect your oppressors. At some point, we need to stop falling for the scam. We need to wake up to the fact that we're all just a bunch of normal people living in a highly abusive society, and that our abusers are benefiting immensely from our inability to see through their divide and conquer manipulations and unite against them. Muslims are not a threat to you. Russia is not a threat to you. China is not a threat to you. Trans people are not a threat to you. Immigrants are not a threat to you. The U.S. empire is a threat to you. Your own government is a threat to you. Oligarchs are a threat to you. Nuclear brinkmanship is a threat to you. Ecocide is a threat to you. War and militarism are a threat to you. Tyranny is a threat to you. Propaganda is a threat to you. Your enemies are not in Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran. Your enemies are in Washington, Virginia, New York, and Los Angeles. Your enemies are in London, Paris, Brussels, and Tel Aviv. Your abusers are not some faraway nation your own government doesn't like, nor are they some marginalized group your government doesn't care about. Your abusers are your government itself, and all its allies and assets around the world, and the network of oligarchs and empire managers who call the shots in this globe-spanning power structure from behind the scenes. The sooner we get this straight, the sooner we can sort out all these problems we're currently being duped into blaming on the wrong people.